Morning. Welcome to Monday.
Good morning.
Just turn it over to you, Sean.
All right.
Okay.
Need to press the buttons here. So today we're here to talk about the Treasurer's Office. We have three funds to talk about. The first one is going to be the general fund. Now we have a lot of big bars on this one, so we'll talk about them all a little bit more detail. So first up is our taxes. This includes property taxes, leasehold taxes, and our timber excise tax. We've brought about 2.1 of 2.3. We do expect about 140 more in accruals. So getting us about where we expected to be. License and permits, we're going to skip over because $40 is $40. Intergovernmental, 91 of 5,800. Goods and services, about 241. We're over on our estimated budget of 218,650. Fines and penalties, 317 of 300,000. Miscellaneous, 3 million of 3.35. Now there's some interesting talks on this one. We have our final interest earning of the year that was not booked at the time that this trial balance was pulled. So we'll have about 150,000 additional. And then during the accrual process, there's a fair market value adjustment. For 2024, that was about 404,000. We expect something similar for 2025. So that should boost that above our expected budget. Other financing sources?
The fair market accrual adjustment.
Yeah, for financial statements at the end of the year, we have to.
You true them up to what the market is.
Yes, and it's just a financial reporting accounting entry.
Right.
But when he pulls these numbers, it pulls it into there.
Because some of them are worth more or less out on the market than what you have booked. Okay, I got it.
Yep.
Then we'll go over more of these in a little bit more detail, but the last one is other financing sources. This is a transfer in from the investment account. Mm-hmm. In 2026, we won't see this anymore. All the FTEs that this was paying for are moved to that fund for payment. So that'll be going away.
Yeah.
You know, kind of talking about the revenues here a little bit more detail. You know, the taxes are pretty straightforward. Some of our goods and services, I think, are kind of important to talk about, especially the fines and penalties. So the fines and penalties are really from the penalties on property taxes.
Is that where they generate? They're not penalties the court would assess or anything like that. It's just basically property tax. Okay. Mm-hmm. I had that question come to me, so I just.
Yeah, in our fund, there's interest and penalties that are due on property taxes that are delinquent. And then there's also a penalty for failure to report. So personal property accounts, they're supposed to turn in a listing every year of their personal property. And if they don't, there's a penalty added on to that as well.
Okay. So do fines and penalties that the courts would assess, do they run through you or they stay over with them?
They would be collected under the whatever fund the court is. These ones are just the fees that are collected through property taxes.
Perfect. Okay.
And then on miscellaneous, we have a few different versions of that. Of course, these are investment earnings for the general fund. About 2 million there. The other is our other interest, and that's the interest that Deb collects on past due property taxes. And so that was about 1.3 and some other items in there. So I just wanted to go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we were just talking about fines and penalties. So penalties and interest are similar, but they're on this document, they're recorded separately. Mm-hmm. Miscellaneous has our interest earnings for investment interest earnings and the interest that's charged on the property taxes.
So it's the penalty or the fine itself goes into the one category. The interest on those goes into this other.
Yeah, just the way that they're reported on this report. Yes.
Okay.
which, you know, for me, miscellaneous, I think interest earnings are a lot more important than saying miscellaneous.
Yeah, especially when it's such a large number, you know, we're talking
Yeah.
over $3 million. Let's get a little more granular on that moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Next up is the expenditures for the Treasurer's General Fund. Not a lot here. We have our personnel, of course. We still have that final payroll that needs to be booked for the year. Supplies, she spent about 16,000 of her $20,500 budget. Now, when we look at that, a big chunk of those is going to be the property tax statements, the envelopes, paper, things of that nature. That's about 11,300 of that. On services side, she's been at $26,609 of 140,000 change. Of that, 82,000 of that's internal service fund charges. Another 28,000 of that's postage. And then an additional about 7,700 is in tax statements. So there's really not a lot of wiggle room left in that fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for postage, you know, the postage rate seems to go up every year, so that unfortunately continues to grow.
Yeah.
But we mail a statement to every parcel in the county.
Every time they raise the postage rate, they lose more money. That's kind of a weird concept how they work that.
And as we talked about in the revenues, that transfers going away, and we will see these personnel expenses decrease for 26 as well, as some of them are being moved to other departments and other funds. Any questions on the general fund before we move on? Next up, we have the Treasurer's O&M. We have intergovernmental. Budget at 13,000 came in at $10,530. This is mainly the REIT percentage that comes in for both the treasurer and assessor. Those are both stored in this fund. We have goods and services came in at 47,000 and half, about of 76,000. And then we have miscellaneous, 55,000 of 80 of the original budget. We do have some accruals in there. Once again, back to the fair market value. We probably expect to see this end up about 70, 75,000 at the end of the year. Do you want to talk at all about what kind of makes up those goods and services and how you get that fund?
The goods and services in this fund are the foreclosure costs. So as we're going through the foreclosure process, we're adding fees onto the property to help, you know, support the processes that we're doing. As we go, we're adding the fees. We get to the point where we're ordering title reports. We have those fees. All that comes into here. And then as we pay it out, it will come out of the same fund.
So the revenue is pretty variable depending on how far properties last in the foreclosure process, how many properties are in the foreclosure process, things of that nature.
Are you seeing any change in that? I mean, I guess I'm asking, are you seeing an uptick in activity? Are more people struggling or not? Are we about the same?
With the work that my office has been doing, we've been talking about that. We just, you know, changed some of our, one of the employees to help with this fund as additional amount for 26 that was in the budget. So we're working with the taxpayers as soon as we see that they're delinquent, and we're getting them in payment plans and telling them about the state's deferral programs and all the different types of things. So we are actually having less fees in here because we are having less properties that are hitting the foreclosure. Once we get to that point, there's less properties that are included in the foreclosure process.
Okay, good.
So it brings us into the expense side of the 14401 fund. Personnel, 91 and a half of 110,394. Supplies, we didn't have any supplies this year. And then services, 3549 of 86,613, 85,613. Now in the services is a interesting part again. Internal services of that's about 9.6, postage about 5.1, title service of about 13.7, and then advertising of 3.5 as well. So there's not a lot of additional room once we get through that 35. You can kind of see those four main groups, and then there's some miscellaneous spending in there for trading and whatnot.
You know, when we go through the foreclosure process, we have to advertise all the foreclosure properties in the daily news and those type of things. So that's where the advertising is. In the postage, yeah, we're sending out notices along the way. And once it gets to the sale, we're sending, we contact all of the adjoining property owners so they know that it's going in foreclosure. If it's like a small piece or something that they might want to purchase in the foreclosure. So we are sending documents to lots of different parties in this process.
Would you say you'd rather see the property sold to an adjoining property owner than being retained by the county?
Yes, we don't want to see anything not be sold, because then it ends up as a tax title property, which it's not owned by the county, but it's held in trust by the county. And then there's no property taxes being paid on those parcels. So our goal is to get these properties sold or not even go into foreclosure.
These tax title properties usually end up being kind of weird little pieces here and there.
Yeah, a lot, if it ends in tax title, there's lots of oddball things that happen, short subdivisions where this little piece was left off, or sales and they missed a portion of the legal description. There's all kinds of different properties like that, but there's also, right now we have tax title properties, and I can't tell you what they all are, but we do have some.
Do you know a rough number?
I think we have around 90 to 100, I would think.
90?
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's a substantial value. Some of them maybe want to be retained by the county for future use for road improvements or things of that nature, but some of them are just, as Commissioner Dahl said, unusual shapes and sizes, or a shared driveway or things of that nature.
I think
Would 90 be an average that we have from year to year?
What was that?
Would 90 pieces of property would be the average that we hold on to year, or we see it floats around that number every year?
Yeah, it really hasn't been growing because we haven't had any going to tax title. So there's some that are really old, and we do have a process that we've been trying to implement where we are investigating all the parcels, and then just, making sure that they're really tax title, because some of them are very old, like they've been for many, many, years. And we didn't want to just do a tax title sale and sell all these, just like, oh, let's just sell these, because we don't really know. And so there's been investigation into all of them to make sure they really are tax title, and are they part of a right of way, or, to narrow it down before we do a tax title property sale.
Okay.
The last treasure fund we have is 14501. This is the Treasurer Investments Fund. Goods and services, we have about 172,000 of 200. These are revenues that are taken from the investment pool to fund the activities of the pool. We do have a little miscellaneous as well. One thing I'd like to point out is that the revenues are less than the expenditures, and they are spending fund balance down. Currently, the cash balance is about $31,000. Personnel, this should change in 26. Instead of having the transfer, the personnel will be in this category. Supplies, This is mainly the software program. Actually, I believe it's 100% the software program. Services, 113,500 of 123,000. The majority of this is going to be the third-party administrator, third-party help of the investment program. And then the transfers we talked about, they'll be going away for 26, and those will be in the personnel once again.
You know, we started this pool in 2023 and we didn't have any cash flow, so we couldn't just charge the personnel cost to this fund. So we did the transfers option. And now that we have a little bit cash flow in there, we're going to move the personnel salary to come directly from this fund. And the revenue is generated from fees that are charged to the participants in our pool. And then the expenditures are, yes, we have the investment advisor and our personnel, and we pay for our investment software program out of this fund as well. We ended our pool for the year. We had our total pool was 415 million. And that includes, you know, county plus all of our districts. And the interest rate ended in our pool at 4.17%, where at the state LGIP, that ended at 3.87%.
It's been a good move.
Yeah, it you know, we were kind of even, you know, close along the way, but we knew once the interest rate started dropping, the LGIP is short, so it's just going to drop quickly as the feds adjust the rate.
Right.
And our goal was to have some longer term investments in there to help keep that up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's it for the budget review this day. If there's any other questions, we can move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Agenda review. Gina, I see you. Looks like you're first on the list. What do we got?
Hey, good morning, Gina James, Health and Human Services. We do have a couple of items on the agenda tomorrow. The first is an amendment to our contract with Washington State Department of Health. This amendment is adding some funding for Group A water system work. So Group A systems are those that have more than 15 connections. Often we see them associated with like churches or mobile home parks or campgrounds, things like that. Our role with Group A systems is limited. We don't permit or regulate them. The state does, but the state often asks local health departments to help complete sanitary surveys for those systems. So that's what the funding they're providing is, some cost connected to doing sanitary surveys. It looks like there's about 7 of them due this year. And so that's what the funding is for. The next item we have, the next 2 actually are related. This is our contract with Department of Commerce for, this is the Community Development Block Grant Public Services funding. We've historically used this funding for Meals on Wheels with Lower Columbia CAP. So we did, before the holidays, we had a public hearing on this. We had CAP here sharing about the program for this. So now we're seeing the state contract is $70,000. Also on the agenda is the pass-through contract with Lower Columbia CAP for $66,500. The state allows us to keep about $3,500 for our cost at the county. And then the last item we have is our contract with Housing Opportunities of Southwest Washington for supportive services at the Phoenix House. I know they were here last spring and kind of shared about the program. So this is a renewal contract. They have about 20 units as a reminder, typically serving about 20 adults and 20 to 25 kids at any given time. This is for individuals who are exiting a inpatient treatment program. You have to be exiting a treatment program to be eligible to stay, and they help folks get back on their feet and work on that self-sufficiency planning. So this contract pays for those supportive services on site, working with those individuals who are staying.
Jeannie, do you know if Jennifer or anybody's going to be in? The only reason I remember when Hoswa took this one over a couple years ago, I forget who had it before, but it kind of gone stagnant. One of the goals of Hoswa was to turn these people, get them self-sufficient quicker. And that would kind of be a question I would have. Are we seeing some of that?
Okay, I will ask. I'm not sure if she's planning on being there, but I can certainly try to get a little more information.
Okay.
And then I had a quick question related to Hoswa, but not related to this contract. We had recently heard from them about their new development project and committed some funding for that. It sounds like they anticipate an announcement from the state later this week, where they may have secured some state funding for the project. They've asked me if the county is interested in doing a joint press release announcing state funding as well as some local. There's a county commitment as well as a city commitment. So I just wanted to see if there was any interest in participating in a joint press release regarding that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty straightforward, just the commitment that we had, but okay.
If she wants to put it in there, I don't think we have any heartburn. If she doesn't want to, we don't have any heartburn.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
So you're the motion person tomorrow.
I am, I guess.
You took over for Public Works for a week, huh?
We go back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. I see building and planning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sahara Cooey, Senior Planner with Building and Planning. On tomorrow's agenda, we have a closed record public hearing to consider the preliminary rural subdivision plat approval recommendation for Cooper Hill subdivision, which is located off of Cooper Hill Court in Castle Rock. It's at the intersection of Spirit Lake Highway and Shaffron Road. The applicant is Chilton Development Services. And the project involves the creation of one additional lot and the reconfiguration of 3 of the existing lots, and is subject to review under the Cowlitz County Rural Subdivision Code due to a prior 4-lot short subdivision that had happened within the past 5 years. We did not receive any public comment. However, we did receive a few agency comments, which were general in nature.
So you're adding one lot to this previously approved 4-1. Is it down at the bottom by Spirit Lake?
Yeah, it's right
That's
off
that
of.
part right down
Yep,
in there.
yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay,
That's everything.
thanks. Public Works.
Good morning, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. I brought Sean because I still have one of his items that he was working on before he switched over. So we have numerous consent agenda items this week because I needed a break, I guess, from being the motion items. So the first two items are call for bids. The first is for culvert pipe and other drainage systems. That is a yearly process we go through, call for pipes, so we have prices, so our crews, when they need things, just go out and make the purchases. We generally accept everybody as long as they are not debarred from selling to the government. And then disposable brushes and tubings for our brooms, also an annual contract we go out for. Then we're moving into agreements, contracts, and bid awards. So we have the contract execution for the Allender Road Bridge project. We've talked about that one mid-December. We received 13 bids for it that were very close. This is our lowest bidder for $1.6 million, and this is funded by federal bridge money at 100%. The next is the personal services agreement with Gray and Osborne to provide assistance with municipal separate stormwater MPDS permit until December 31st, 2028, with a not to exceed of $120,000. We went through our normal request for qualifications. We received 5 statements of qualifications. We do a 3-person review committee on what they submit, and then we did oral interviews with 2 of the 5 that committed, and we selected Gray and Osborne. This is the firm that we had on contract till the end of last year. They provide us services such as recommendations to any code updates that we need to meet the permit. They're going to provide us some planning services in this particular permit option. So the 120 is if we use it, but it's not a guaranteed for them. But we have been pleased with them in the past, and so we decided to continue moving forward with them.
Number 5 is me. So Sean Roy, Finance Director, sorry if I didn't say that earlier. Number 5 is a contract execution with Advanced Electrical Technologies for on-call electrical services at headquarters landfill. If you recall back, you may have remembered this one a few times. Back on November 18th, we went out to bid on this. We awarded on December 9th. This is the final contract execution. It's for up to $150,000, not to exceed, for 1 year and maybe extended 1 additional year. So as we talked about in the past, all kinds of pumps, electrical wires, things that go wrong that need to be fixed, and we can just make a call and get it taken care of.
One-year contract with 1 extension available.
Correct.
Okay.
And our remaining 2 items are interrelated. It's 6 and 7B. So item 6 is rescinding the emergency due to damage to storm drain, sewer storm drain on Sweet Birch. So rescinding the emergency. And then 7B is the completion letter to Advanced Excavating Specialist for the work. The grand total of the work came out to be $141,988.85. We couldn't go out and just do a repair of the damage itself. We ended up replacing and relocating the entire pipeline, installing a new manhole, and going from the start catch basin to the end discharge with an intermediate manhole in between. So all of that work has been completed. We're just finishing up the paperwork.
Did we have a homeowner have some issues with us on this one or not?
Yes.
Okay. I think I recall.
Did we resolve them?
No, I believe they're still at the risk pool.
Okay.
So those are our agenda items. If people ask, yes, they are mobilizing out on Barnes Drive today. And actually physically saw the contractor right before I came up here. He is working on getting his last unit price. So I will have the contract for you guys for execution tomorrow, either in the morning or the afternoon, because they plan on starting working tomorrow, getting out there and getting out the other lane, building their bench in, and then starting to pull out the asphalt that we need to remove and going out. It's going to be exciting. They look like they're going to have a good work weather week. So
Yeah, we're promised a pretty clear week. That's kind of nice, huh?
yeah, pretty clear, pretty warm. So
Don't hold your breath. This is Washington.
I know, but that's what they're telling us. Clear, warm.
Yeah. Boy, that's a true statement.
I think that atmospheric river that's up in Canada is just going to decide, I'm tired of Canada. I'm going to go back and dump on Washington again.
You can stay
I'm
in
sure there's
Canada.
somebody out there in a moccasin and loincloths doing a rain dance.
Oh, I don't need that picture. Okay.
Thank you.
Guys. And I'm seeing here an exec session, potential litigation. They're on their way over. I guess, yeah, they're just across the lobby now. Except we're gonna make them climb stairs. When do you think they'll fire up on Allender Road? Do you think they'll get after that pretty quick? Is there? Oh, sorry. I mean, is that a place where they got to wait for fish windows or anything in that one?
So yes and no. So after it's executed tomorrow, they have until February 3rd, will be the first day we start counting. It's a 200 workday project, plus or
Okay.
minus. It's a long workday. They can start mobbing in, doing the clearing, grubbing, and hopefully setting up for their temporary bridge, but I won't know what their schedule is until after we have a pre-construction meeting, which will be sometime in the next few weeks. They will need to start right away on sending in their materials so they can make sure we get their girders for the bridge, the new bridge approved so they can get on the list. There is a fish window for the actual pulling of the piers of the existing bridge, but they can start doing some of the other work so that they're ready to go on the day they can touch the water.
When they can get in the water.
No, but the temporary bridge will be nice for the people who live out there. I know that they're anticipating it and getting people lined up to come and do work that can't be done with the
Yeah.
thing.
'Cause while the old one gets pulled out before the temporary, or is anybody landlocked back in there?
No, there will be nobody landlocked. The temporary will be in before the new
Oh,
comes
they'll
out.
be like side by side. type
Yes, there'll
thing.
be a side by
Gotcha.
side and they'll pull the old one out and then we'll get people moving.
What do they
So-
do with those old ones?
The contractors can, if they're metal, they can sell them. Otherwise, they just get disposed of as construction debris.
Yeah, Huh.
So it just depends on the materials.
yeah.
I have spoken with one of the residents recently asking me, when are they going to be out there, and telling them that contract signed, we're getting you closer.
Thanks. Oh, we had, and I don't have the list in front of me, but we had, we assigned the liaisons
Right.
last week, and Commissioner Rader had OPD and public defense and prosecutors, and it's probably not good to have those
Yeah, I agree.
together. So if I was gonna move one of them to your list if you're good with that.
Yeah.
You okay? Okay.
Oh, I get to choose.
Want Ian or Ryan?
Let me get a coin out. Oh, give me Ryan.
Thanks, Kelly. I told you to remind me because I'd forget. Are they moving their way over? Short recess till they pop through the door. Okay, we're back from recess. We're heading into executive session, potential litigation. David, how long you think? Okay, for 20 minutes. We will do that. Thank you.
Greater third-party
You don't know
help
how to
of
shut it
the
off?
investment program. And then the transfers we talked about, they'll be going away for 26 personnel once again.
Okay, we'll just talk over it back for executive.
Yeah, we started this.
Session,
school
no
in
decision
2023, and
rendered.
we didn't have any cash flow, so we. couldn't
Anything else for
discharge the,
miscellaneous?
Personnel costs to this fund, so we.
Nope, I think
we
we're
did the
good. Okay, we will
transfers
adjourn.
option.
Thank you, guys.
And now that we have a little bit cash flow in there, we're